Welcome, everyone, to a brand new edition of the Media Row podcast with me, Justin Miller, sponsored by Kelly's Little Nipper and Stevens Automotive and Sales. Happy to have everyone here. Your contributions have been awesome in this month as we're already almost to the end of June. And just want to start the show off by saying thank you to all the listeners, likes, subscribes, comments, everyone that has been a part of this show. Just a huge thank you as we continue to grow this thing. But busy show today. We're going to have Harold Huston on. He's been a part of ESPN Plus, called and covered Murray State throughout the season, and they just finalized a historical run in Omaha in the College World Series. So we're going to definitely talk about that because when I started the show, I wanted to talk a lot about Drake, a team that gets undercovered, and talk about them in football, basketball, and every sport. But the Missouri Valley Conference as a whole kind of gets forgotten about. And so when you have a team like Murray State put on a run like they did, a historical run, definitely want to talk about that. So another thank you to Mike Mahon. We were talking about the people that have supported this show from day one. He's been a huge supporter, and he got me the guest on Monday with Murray, and now he helped me get Harold as well. So huge thank you to Mike Mahon. But enough about me. Let's give a shout out to Kelly's Little Nipper so we can get you to this great interview. And at Kelly's Little Nipper, 1701 East Grand Avenue in Des Moines, historical site, great food, great drinks, and even better community. That community has now started to overflow into the Media Row community, and it's great. It's one of the main reasons I wanted to get Kelly's Little Nipper on as a sponsor, and it's been amazing. Jeff and the crew over at Kelly's Little Nipper are awesome. They're wonderful people, hard workers, and follow them on social media as much as you follow me because they are fun and funny to watch on social media too. And then they have great live music. They have fun trivia nights throughout the week, so they always post updates about that. So go and experience everything that Kelly's Little Nipper has to offer at 1701 East Grand Avenue in Des Moines. And when you do, make sure to let them know that Media Row sent you. So Harold, again, you were just telling me the dedication you have. I can't believe you're up even to do this podcast, but I appreciate it. You've been all over the place in Omaha, in Murray, now in Cleveland. You're all over the place, so I appreciate it.
I have been, and I thank you so much for asking me to come and be on with you. It's a real honor for me.
Honor's a strong word, but I'll take it. We'll put it up there. But I want to get into this Murray State run because this podcast, while I did want to focus a lot on Drake, the Missouri Valley as a whole gets undercovered. So I wanted to take that on too. In this story, if you're a Bradley fan, a Drake fan, you couldn't do anything but get excited about this Racers run. And I just want to make sure I have the stats right. Ended with a 44-17 record, most wins in program history. First school from the Missouri Valley to go to the College World Series since 2003 with Missouri State. First NCAA tournament win since 1979 and first NCAA regional championship. What a year for your Racers.
It's been a great year for the Racers, the whole team, the coaches, the community really went out to a lot of people went to the regionals in Oxford. Several more went to the super regionals when they went to Durham, and a great crowd showed up for when they went to Omaha for the World Series. And, in some of the interviews, Coach said, well, we don't charge and we don't have not all the fans show up, but there was tremendous amount of people that come from all different parts of the country that are Racer alumni, Racer fans have a tie, and they came out to the World Series. Plus, the greatest thing most fans, if they did not have a team of the other seven, if they were not tied to them, they were Murray State fans. We would walk around Omaha and would have our Murray State shirts on, and hey, we're cheering for you, cheering for you. The official photographer for Murray State baseball, Dr. Dave Eaton, we had went on Sunday to watch a little bit of some of the games. We'd stop by the ice cream place just behind the ballpark. A resident of Omaha who is a architect stopped and visited with us for 15 minutes. He wanted to tell us about his Murray State fandom since we were the Cinderella team. And we'd had and I partially had hashtagged out a lot on Twitter or X, whichever you want to call it, that we're America's team. And for a brief time, we were America's team.
What were the moments in the regular season that, and even postseason too, that maybe gave you hope that this run is possible, that just maybe made this team different?
I think you look at Coach Skirka, and I've been very blessed in what Coach Skirka and he allows me to ask and come down on the field and visit with some players and coaches, that he's always been very open with me and allow me some time. And I always respected Coach's time. And he'd tell me what about the team. And you know, you look at the players, and some of these players, we on the starting nine, we only had one player that had been around for 4 years. That was third baseman Carson Garner. He started as a freshman, and he finished his career all 4 years. Most everybody else was either transferred in or just starting, such as our shortstop, Connor Cunningham. He's from Batesville, Arkansas, same place that Gage Wood, who pitched the no hitter against us, was from, and they were teammates in high school. On that, Dom Decker from Indiana had transferred in from a community college. Luke Mastoni had transferred in from Cal State Fullerton. Dustin Mercer out in right field transferred in from Virginia Tech. Jonathan Hogart out in center field had transferred in from Wabash Valley Community College to La Tech, and then came to Murray. Murray had recruited him 3 times before he showed up to be a Murray player.
Third time's the charm.
Exactly, and had his best series. Dan Tonkin, the left fielder, come from a community college out of New York. Veerling, our catcher, Will Veerling, he'd played at Louisville, and he transferred in. Shuddy, one of the starting pitchers, had transferred in also. So had Isaac Silva, who pitched yesterday. Had a great game yesterday. He transferred in from Troy. So, I mean, but some of these players, they didn't transfer to leave to come to Murray because they were mad at their team that they were out. Their team had kind of forgotten them. Luke Mastoni, as an example, year before last at Cal State Fullerton, had started off really hot, went into a slump, and they benched him, and he didn't play any of the last 37 games. And he wasn't sure he was ever going to play baseball again as he went into the summer. But he and Jonathan Hogart were in the same league in the Northeast. They were up around Massachusetts, not in the Cape Cod League, but in another wooden bat league. And Hogart had met him and played against him. And Coach Skirk had asked Hogart to visit with him, see if he'd have interest in Murray, and he did. And Luke Mastoni is a great asset to come there. So those are the type of players where the team really left the player and didn't want them, and they fit into a Dan Skirka team, which is you work hard, you play hard out on the field, but we all get together and we check our egos.
Man, so this Murray State team, they were kind of built around forgotten players that add
Yes,
a chip on their shoulders. Is that what makes this run even more special?
I believe it is. I believe it is, and a lot of these players have a deep faith, and they have a faith in the Lord, and they have a faith in their teammates, and that's Coach Skirka. I have a favorite saying that I've used in business, but also with this team, is that speed of the captain, speed of the crew, and these players are just like Dan Skirka. The other thing, Dan, is while we were out in Nebraska, the governor of Nebraska made him an admiral in the Nebraska Navy. So now I guess we got to say speed of the admiral, speed of the crew.
Yeah, now when you go on the field to interview him and the players, do you have to salute him now, or how does
I,
that process
I,
work?
I don't think we figured that out quite as of yet, if we have to salute him or not.
What has just separated this team from teams in the past? When you watch them, is there a certain characteristic? Is there something that they do that just in your 6 years of covering this team, they do differently, or is it just built up over time by the coach?
I think it's a great question. I think Dan has had some great players on his team, and sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle. And that may have been really what happened with the Murray State Racers this year. They caught lightning in the bottle. Had the right pieces come around. You juggled the lineup two or three times because, you know, national media always wanted to talk about Dom Decker as a cleanup hitter and didn't have any home runs. Well, Dom wasn't always the cleanup hitter. There was times that he was hitting 8 and 7, and we had different people that got into some midseason slumps. Dan Tonkin was a cleanup hitter at the first of the year, kind of slumped at the end, so they moved him down to 7, which fit perfectly. Carson Garner at third, he started at third. He was hitting under 200 at the beginning of the year, just struggling. That was not Carson Garner that I'd seen over 3 previous years. But finally, after about a quarter of the season was over, he built back up. He ended up hitting 280s, had over 60 walks, a new season high for Murray State. He was up in, I think, number 2 in the Missouri Valley. And so you move players around that fit and did it. And, Dom Decker just did an excellent job as a cleanup hitter. You look at Dustin Mercer as the second place hitter, did not hit a home run, hit 10 last year. What changed? He worked on his swing. He knew that he wanted to have a little flatter swing, keep the bat in the zone just a little bit longer. So he was hitting those doubles and line drives in the gap. And that's why he didn't hit any home runs. And it was good for the team that he did that.
Man, that just speaks to what you were saying about everyone rallies together, where a guy could be like, man, I'm trying to get my stats up. I want to see home runs on my stat sheet. But no,
Yeah,
he works on his swing for the betterment of not himself, but just the team too.
exactly. And everybody was that way. Not a lot of stolen bases by the Racers this year. Years past, they had stolen bases, but that was not the ethos of the team. The team was to hit the ball hard, hit it in the gap. We're going to have good pitching. We're going to have good defense. This is a team that had defense that was at over 980 or not 979 was what the defense, and that's what won them a lot of games. And in the postseason, they only had 4 errors, and none or had one in the World Series, just one.
I mean, that's credit too for a brand new, or not brand new team, but a team that isn't used to those bright lights. Like if you see a
Yeah,
UCLA, you're expecting that with a bigger name, an LSU, but a Murray State team to come in composed. Is that just part of coaching right there, getting the team
it,
prepared?
it's coaching, and they looked at any adversity, and a saying that they kind of picked up, and they've said it all year. When something happens, that's baseball. They don't complain about umpiring. They don't complain about not getting a break. If they don't complain about if they get a big bad bounce, that's just baseball, and that's their attitude with it. And what a great attitude! That
Yeah.
next play up. Let's move on. Have the next play.
So I'm gonna ask you to put on your, future goggles here for me for a second. But Dan Skirka, been there for 7 years now. Young coach, has had great success. What does the offseason look like for him? Is he going to be a hot commodity? As a Drake fan, I know what it's like to get great young head coaches, and then boom, uh, the sports business takes over.
Well, that's a great question. As not only somebody that sees the team quite often, has some kind of a relationship with Dan Skirka. Obviously, we'd love to have Dan Skirka stay just as long as we possibly can. However, I think every Murray State fan would agree that if Dan can better himself and make it better for his family, we're going to help him any way that we can, because he's never going to forget Murray State. He's never going to forget this College World Series, because you may have heard uh, they had interviewed him someplace, and they asked him if he'd ever been to Omaha, and he said, "No, I've never been here to see a World Series game. I wanted to earn it to be here," and he earned it. And so I don't know. I've had You're not the first person to ask me that
I
question.
figured I wouldn't.
My guess is that we'll have a lot of answers a week from this Saturday. and I think we'll all be a lot smarter at that time. And so, I think we all want Dan to do what's best for Dan and his family, or his wife Kelsey and his son Keegan, just wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people.
Keeping those future goggles on, what does next year look for the team? Just is there now an added pressure with you've made the College World Series? Is there a pressure to get back, or what is the team losing? Who's coming back? Kind of just an overlook on maybe next year, it's way too early overlook.
Yeah, well, we had 28 new players come in this year. So we had quite a few new faces, and some of them got into the starting lineup. Our outfield, with all those, they'll be completely decimated. Dan Tonkin's going to graduate. Jonathan Hogart's he's going to be working out. Has got a chance to get drafted or sign as a undrafted free agent. Dustin Mercer says he is done with baseball. We'll see. Maybe somebody might try to draft him. Carson Garner, our third baseman, he's definitely going to try to get in and go to the draft. I know he's going to be working out with some people before the draft, probably working out for some teams. Called out some teams yet on Sunday that he may have when we visited with him on that. Then our freshman shortstop, Connor Cunningham. I think if we could answer the question of Dan Skirka, I can answer the question for him. Second baseman Dom Decker, he was a redshirt sophomore this year. Luke Mastoni was a junior. So those, tell me what Dan Skirka is doing. I can probably answer the question there on that. Will Veerling, our catcher, he's a junior. He's getting some looks. I don't know if he's going to go into the draft or not. Isaac Silva, a pitcher, senior, he's done. Our closer, Graham Kellum, rumored that he's getting some major league looks, may get drafted. So I think it's too early to tell where we're going to be. I do know. I asked Coach about transfer portal. I said, "Are there people calling?" He says, "Luckily, a lot of them don't have my number." and and he says, "But when we have time, we've been out calling people on the portal to see who's available if they have interest, and do they fit? Just because you may be the greatest pitcher in the world, if you don't fit on the ball club, that's not the type of people that are going to come to Murray State."
Well, and just being involved, on that ESPN broadcast, seeing your logo, your team go that far. I mean, that's got to do a lot for Coach and the transfer portal too. I mean, people being able to visually see what he's able to put out on the field.
Ask our AD, Nico Yanto, how much is it worth? And he said millions. We haven't computed finally, but it is absolutely worth a ton of money to the university and a great recruiting tool also.
Yeah, because I had Jeff Jackson, the commissioner for the Missouri Valley, on the show last week, and I didn't know if you make the College World Series, if you win a game, none of that gets you a unit like in the NCAA tournament. So he brought up though how just valuable it is to have that airtime and how that's probably worth more than what you would get from a unit.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. It is really. America's team. We've said that so much, and it's been a great ride for the Murray State Racers.
I do want to ask about, I know it was the wrong side of history for Racer fans, but the no-hitter, I mean, using Coach's philosophy, that's just baseball. But as a fan of baseball that you are, is there a little bit of you that it's pretty cool when a player is playing at that high of a level?
Comment I made to my partner, Jeff Bidwell, I said, I got more zeros on my score sheet than I ever had on a report card. And I says, that's good. We went first 2 or 3 innings. We didn't hit the ball first time around in the lineup against UCLA. We didn't do it again. And I thought, okay, we'll be fine come the 4th inning. Well, you get to the 4th, the 5th, and Gage Wood just pitched lights out. It was unbelievable what that young man did. And a Gage Wood story here for you. On Thursday when we come in, got to go to the ballpark. I went up to the press box, was going down on the elevator, and a couple of Arkansas players come out. And this one ball player said, "Hey, tell my good friend Connor Cunningham hi for me." And I said, "What's your name?" He said, "Gage Wood." Well, that didn't hit me until later on Monday when we did it. Connor Cunningham and Gage Wood played high school baseball together, won the 6A state championship when Gage was a senior and Connor would have been a sophomore. They also, still in the summer, they throw together and they also work out together. So they still come. Gage Wood had one of the greatest class acts. Here's a young man that had the first no-hitter in College World Series history since 1960, the first one in Charles Schwab Field ever. And had 19 strikeouts. Record was 17, broke at 18. He struck out Connor Cunningham for number 18, his former teammate, but he waited before he went in and went to a press conference to give his former high school teammate Connor Cunningham a dugout. He walked clear over to the Murray dugout to do that.
Wow. That's
That was a
really
class
cool.
act.
Yeah. And because was Gage Wood, I'm drawing a blank here. Was he a senior or how old is he now? Because
Gage right now, I believe, is a junior. Yeah, matter of fact, he's. I don't have my scorebook with me or anything. Everything I'm doing is off the top of my head right now.
which is impressive. I mean, with the transfer portal, whenever I talk to broadcasters, I mean, they're listing off three deep colleges that some athletes are in. It's impressive. But to talk about Wood of just being that young and you're in the spotlight, like you said, just through the first no hitter since 1960, and to have that composure, that's really cool. That's really cool. Um, I wanted to ask, and I don't want to take too much more of your
No,
time,
no.
but are we starting to just see a resurgence as a whole with college baseball? Because I remember as a kid, yeah, the College World Series was on, and maybe a few people would talk about it. But man, it feels like in these last 5 or so years, it has really kicked off.
I think there's a couple things with college baseball versus pro baseball. I think a lot of, and I am a baseball fanatic, a fan, uh, and I dearly love baseball. All my life, I got to play in high school. Unfortunately, I was not good enough to play in college. I'd have loved to have. But I think a lot of it is the simplicity of college baseball. I think the purity of college baseball. Yeah, there's some NIL money and some of that, but it's not like it is in football or basketball. It's not the Los Angeles Dodgers signing everybody to billion-dollar deals and reserving money year after year and putting and just setting it aside. And I think that's what makes college baseball exciting. Now, is college baseball perfect? No. There's some things that I think have to change on it. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the pitch clock. I think it's helped the game on that. I think 245, that amount of time, I think people can hang in. You get to 315, 330 on a baseball game for 9 innings. That's one thing that doesn't help college baseball. But the quickness, and we played 2 or 3 games this year and got 2 hours and 35 minutes. The no hitter game was 3 hours and 30 or 2 hours and 32 minutes. It was quick. And, you know, I think we're a society now that doesn't like it. But also, I can remember when I was young, Bob Gibson and Fergie Jenkins got together and they pitched 9 innings in an hour and a half.
Just
That's
out there and
exciting.
firing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it doesn't hurt that with growing the College World Series and college baseball as a whole, having stories like Murray State. Because I saw too, I mean, there wasn't a single team in Omaha that played a year ago in Omaha. They were
Yeah.
all different. So that helps too.
Oh, absolutely. That was a huge thing. That's the first time that has happened since 1957.
Man, and just a historical College World Series then in
Oh,
2025 all
it,
around.
and this was the 75th anniversary of the Baseball College World Series.
That's perfect. But I know you got a busy schedule ahead of you. Harold, I seriously appreciate you doing this for me. This was
Justin,
awesome.
I thank you for asking. It's been a real pleasure to do this with you. And anytime you want to visit, just let me know.
Oh, any guest that says that, I say that's a mistake because now you're going to get annoyed. I'm going to be texting, I'm going to be calling, emailing.
No problem.
But
Not a
ho-
problem, Justin.
hopefully, maybe you'll come out because you said you did softball too for Murray State, right?
Yes, but that usually they just keep me at home because I
Okay.
I do it on ESPN Plus. They don't have me. I've learned what traveling's like and going with the team. It's hard work. It is hard work.
But maybe one these days you'll get out to Des Moines and we can grab a drink or something. That'd be
I'd
great.
be great. I'd appreciate it, sir.
A huge thank you to Harold Huston for coming on the show today, talking about the Murray State Racers, and really appreciate him finding time out of his day to join us here on the show. It's been a busy day. Started the morning off with getting a cavity filled, and that's never fun, but ended it in a really fun way with that interview. So appreciate Harold. And now we get a shout out of one of the best people and best workers in our Iowa community, and that is the people over at Stevens Automotive and Sales. Wonderful people. 35 years of family owned and operated. They're the kind of guys you want to deal with. They're loyal, they're true, they're going to be holding everyone accountable. There's no BS, there's great communication. Just had my car in there last week. It's so simple, so easy, and always great work done over at Stevens Automotive and Sales. 5320 Northwest Beaver Drive in Johnston, Iowa. Go over to Stevens Automotive and Sales to say hi to everyone, get your car checked out by the best people in Iowa over at 5320 Northwest Beaver Drive, Johnston, Iowa. Stevens Automotive and Sales. When you go there, make sure to let them know that Media Row sent you. Again, a thank you to Murray Hanks on Monday. A thank you to Harold Huston today hopping on the show. Thank you to Mike Mahon for basically setting up this week for the Media Row podcast. You guys have a great night. Appreciate you guys so much. Continue to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and we will see you Friday to wrap up this week of the Media Row podcast.